Okay guys, so in this video we'll be doing cart management using Jotai. So for those of you who don't know that what Jotai is, it is a state management library, and in my opinion it is by far the best library that I have used for state management in React. And this is the application which we are going to build. So here we have a list of couple of hard-coded products here, and we have an add to bag button here. So if we click add to bag, the product should be added to the cart, and we only have two pages inside this application, that is the default products page and the cart page here. So here we can see the items we have added inside the cart and the order summary. So here we can also delete the items from the cart, and we can change the quantity also. So to get started with state management using Jotai, what we need to do, we need to install it as a dependency inside a project. So we need to do npm i Jotai, and we need to install that. And before we continue, let me show you the starter project for this application. So if you go to this URL here, I'll provide the URL in the description below. You need to select the branch that is called starter project, and then you can simply clone the project and you can start ahead with me, because I've created all the pages and all the components that are used inside the tutorial. So once you clone the project and you go inside VS Code, you would have a project structure like this. So the first thing which I need to do, I need to simply stop the project, and let me clear out the console, and let me simply do npm i Jotai, and it will take a couple of seconds to install. So let me clear out the console and let me simply do npm run dev to get the server started in the background. So the first thing which we need to do, we need to wrap our app component inside the Jotai Provider. And for those of you who might be thinking that why I'm not using the default app router, that is the default way of creating Next.js application, it is because most of you are not aware with how app router works. So I'm keeping it pretty simple, keeping the pages directory here. So the first thing we need to do is to import something from Jotai, and that thing would be provider, and I would be renaming it as Jotai Provider, because you might be having different providers inside your application, so it's better to change the name. And then I would wrap the component inside this Jotai Provider. So Jotai Provider like this, and that's all what you need to do to make the state available to whole of the application. And now what you need to do, you need to create some kind of atoms to work with Jotai. And if you have worked with Recoil, that is another state management library by the React team itself, and Jotai takes inspiration from the same. So what we need to do, we need to create some kind of atoms. So I'm going to create a new file here inside my lib folder, and I'll simply call it cart atom, or let me call it simply atoms, because I would be having different atoms here. And now an atom is a piece of state in Jotai. So what we can do, we can create the state using the export const cart atom. So let me do it. So export const cart atom would be equal to atom, and this should be imported from Jotai itself. So let me increase the font size a little bit. So atom, and here we need to provide in the initial state. So let me simply call it hello world, simply like this. So this is the initial value of the state. So now to use this piece of state, that is cart atom, what we can do, we can go to our index.js file, and here we can use the atom, and we have a hook from Jotai itself, that is import use atom from Jotai. And what we can do, it provides us then a state in a very similar way as the use state hook does. So here we have the cart items, set cart items equal to use atom, and here we need to pass in the atom which we want to use. And we just created this atom here that is called cart atom, so we can use that atom here. So cart atom like this, and if we simply log in the cart items here inside the console, we should be getting this value here, that is the initial state, that is hello world. So let me save it, and let me go back to the page here, and let me open the terminal here or the dev console, and let me reload the page, and we see that we are getting this value here, that is cart items is hello world, that is the initial state. So that's how easy it is to use Jotai. So let me clear out the console, or let me close the console, and let me go back to my application. So here what I want to do to demonstrate, I want to start my cart atom to contain one of the products from this product.js file, because these are all hard-coded products, and then we can put in the quantity also. So instead of hello world, what I can do, I want this cart atom to be an array, and then we provide an object containing the product, which would come from the products here, that is any of the products, and the quantity of that product. So quantity would be, let's say, 3 initially, just as an initial starting state. Typically this should be an empty array, but for demonstration it has a product and quantity. So now if I go to my page here, and if I open my console, and if we reload the page, we should see that cart items is an array that contains the product and the quantity itself. So that's how we are going to add products to the cart. So let's go back. And now let me show you one more thing, and that is the derived state or the derived atom from this cart atom. So let's say we want to simply get the total products that are present inside the cart, and we just want to calculate the total number of items inside the array to be displayed here inside this notification thing here, that is how many items are present inside the cart. So we can do that very easily using the derived state from this cart atom. So again, what I'll do, I'll simply export a const here, and I'll simply say cart items quantity atom, and this should be equal to an atom again, and then we get a callback here that provides us with a get function here, and then we can use this get function here to get this cart atom to reduce this array into the total of the quantities present of individual products. So if that is over your head, just bear with me. So for now, let's say that we want to return here something, and that is 8, and that would be the initial state of this cart items quantity atom. So let's save it, and just note that this would be a derived state because we would be using this function here, that is the get function, to get this cart atom. But for now, let's simply return 8 here. And now let me go to the layout.js file. So if we go to the layout.js file, and here we see that here we are displaying in the value 2 here, that is the notification of the total cart items here. So what we can do, since we do not want to change the state of the cart items quantity atom, that is this atom, so we can simply use one more hook, and that is the use atom value. That would simply return us the current state of the atom. So we can import it like this. So we can say import use atom value from Jotai, and here we can say const cart items quantity would be equal to use atom value, and here we can simply provide in the cart items quantity atom, simply like this. And if we simply log it inside the console, so console.log cart items quantity, so if we save this, we should be getting 8 here inside the dev console. So if we open the console, we see that we are getting an object back here, and that displays that the items is the cart items quantity atom. So now what we can do, we can use this cart items total quantity to be displayed here inside the notification badge. So let me simply use this value here, that is cart items quantity. So let me remove this and cart items quantity here like this. So if we save this and if we go back, we see that we have 8 displayed here. But how do we dynamically change based on the total number of items inside the cart? So we can go to our atoms.js file, and I told you that this would be a derived state from this cart atom. So therefore we are using this get method here, or get function here. So we can say const cart items would be equal to get cart atom, simply like this. So this would provide us with the current state of this cart atom, and I can use the reduce method in JavaScript to simply get the total quantity of this total quantity of the cart items present here. So I can do const total quantity equal to cart items dot reduce, and here we have the total comma cart item, that is the individual cart item, and then we can return something with an initial value to be 0, that is the initial quantity is 0, and here we can simply return total plus cart item dot quantity, And what more we can do, we can simply use the parse int thing here just to make sure that we are using an integer value here. So we can say parse int cart item dot quantity, just like this. And finally we can return the total quantity. So this time, if I've done everything right, we should be getting the total quantity to be 3. So if I save this and if we go back, we see that we are getting 3 here. Let's go back. So let's provide one more cart item to the array here, and that would be a product. So product would be products. Let's say we are keeping the third product, and the quantity would be, let's say, 2. So if I've done everything right, we have currently these 2 cart items here, that is 1 and 2. So here finally we would be returning 5 here, because that is the total item quantity inside the cart. So if we go back, we see that we have this notification badge working, that is it calculates the total quantity of the items present inside the cart. So we have 5 here. So this is how we use derived state. So now let's go back to our cart atom, and we want to dynamically add products to this cart atom depending on which item we click here, that is add to bag, add to bag, add to bag. So let's go back. So let's go to the product card here, because that handles the add to cart functionality, that is add to bag. So here what I am going to do, I am going to use one more thing here, and not one more thing, but I'm going to use the same atom here, that is use atom, and here we are going to use the cart atom. So we'll say const something equal to this thing here. So cart items comma set cart items, simply like this. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a function here to add the product to the cart. So function add product to cart, and here it takes in the product itself like this. And that's all what we need to do. So what we can do, we can simply say set cart items would be the current state of cart items like this, and this should be inside an array here. And then we simply create one more cart item that would have a product, would be product like this, and let's say the quantity is 2 here this time, and this is a hard-coded quantity for now. And we want to call this function once we click on the button here. So let's come here, that is add to product. So on this button here, we want to handle an on click event listener. So we can say on click would be equal to add product to cart, and here we can pass in the product here, and it should be inside an arrow function. So let's save this. So if we go back and if we click on add to bag, we should be seeing that this value should be increased. So if I add to bag here, we see that since we added 2 quantity, so it is incrementing in steps of 2. So if we add this, we have this thing here, and we have this thing here, and we have this thing here. So let's go back, and we need to modify this add to cart function a little bit, because there might be a product that is already present inside the cart. So we need to check that as well. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say const current cart item, that is whether this product already exists as a cart item inside our cart. So we can say cart items dot find, and here we have the first cart item, and then we are simply going to check if cart item dot product dot id equal to product dot id, simply like this. So if we have a current cart item, so either this value should be defined, or it should be, or if the cart item does not contain this product, this value would be undefined. So this is the case if in which the current cart item is present inside the cart. Otherwise we need to add the product here with the quantity of 1. So let's do the second thing first, that is when the cart item is not present. So here what we need to do, set cart items, let me comment it out because I would be using a different approach here. And here we have prev value, that is the previous state, very much like user state. And here what I am going to do, I'm going to simply say dot prev value, that is spreading out the previous value, and then I add in the new product, that is product, and quantity would be 1, simply like this. And let me delete this from here. Or otherwise, if we have a current cart item, that is if the cart item is already present, so what we can do, we can say const updated cart items would be equal to cart items dot map, because cart items is an array, and then we have the individual cart item, And then what we need to do, we need to return something from here. So we can check if cart item dot product dot id equal to product dot id. Then we return the cart items, and the quantity would be cart item quantity plus 1. That is, we are incrementing the value. And finally, we are going to return this cart item. Like otherwise, we are going to return the cart item. That is, if we found an item with the same product ID, we just incremented the value by 1. Otherwise, we simply return the cart item to get the new updated cart items array. And finally, what we need to do, we can simply say set cart items would be this updated cart items, simply like this. So that's all what we need to do. And finally, we need to return from here so that we do not reach this statement here. So if we save this, and if I did everything correctly, we should be adding products to our cart. And for testing, what I can do, I can simply log in this value here. So console.log cart items. So if we save this, and if we go back, and if we open our dev console here, so let's reload the page. And let me also do one more thing, that is like the initial state. Let me simply remove the initial state to start with an empty array. So if we save this and if we reload, so we see that currently the cart items quantity is 0 and we do not have any items inside the cart. So let's click on add to bag here. We see the state changed and we have this product here with an ID of 1 and we have the quantity. So if we add this product also, we see the cart items quantity is this, that is, we have two products, one is ID 1, one is ID 2. And if we add one more thing here, that is first product again. So if we add this thing here, we see that we have the cart items quantity array still is 2, but the value of the quantity should be changed because we added one more product with an ID of 1, and we see the ID, we see the quantity is 2 here, and the second one's quantity is 1. So this is how we add items to cart. So let me do one more thing, and that is delete items from cart. Or before doing so, let me go to the cart page, and we want to display all the cart items present here inside this layout here. So what I am going to do, I'm going to go back to my app here, and inside this cart item, and this cart item component is responsible for displaying the individual cards here which we see. So what I can do, I can go to my cart page first. And here let me comment out this cart items. So firstly, we need to get a hold of the cart items. So we can say const cart items, or we can directly get the cart items, because we are not going to change the state from the cart page here. Maybe not for now. So we can simply use the use atom value hook, and here we can provide in the cart item itself. And this cart items would contain all the products. So if we save this and if we go back, we should be seeing an empty cart here. So if we go to the products here, we add this to bag, and if we go to the cart here, we see that we have this thing here. And if we go again, we add this to bag, we see that we have this thing here. And we automatically see that the quantity is dependent on the number of products that are present inside the cart, because when we render out the cart page, because we are mapping through all the cart items, and then we are rendering out this cart item itself. And if we go to the cart item here, we simply extracted the product and the quantity from the item here, and the quantity we are using here in the drop down here, that is inside this select component or the select HTML element, and the default value is this quantity here. So now what we want to do before handling this select drop down, because currently it does nothing, we want to handle this delete event here. That is how to remove the product from the cart if we click on this button here. So that's pretty simple to do. So what I can do, I can either do it right away here itself inside this cart item component, or otherwise what I can do, I can create a new folder here inside my folder structure here, and that would be like the use cart hook, because like you can have like different places where you want to add the product to the cart, or you want to delete a product from the cart, or you want to update the product inside the cart. So what we can do, we can create a new file here that is inside the hooks folder, and that would be the useCart.js file. So here what I need to do, I need to import a couple of things and I need to refactor my code a little bit. So firstly what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply export this function, that is export function useCart, not userCart but useCart, like this. And here I want to return something. So the first function which we want to return is to add the product to the cart. So what I can do, I can simply extract out this function from this thing here, from this product card. So let me extract it out and let me put it inside the useCart thing here. And this should be useCart and not userCart. And now I can simply return this function here, that is add product to cart. And before doing so, let me also import a couple of things that are used here, that is the cart items and so on and so forth. So again, I can simply cut it out from here, that is the use atom hook here. So not here, but I should paste it here, that is cart item should be equal to set cart items and use atom. And we need to import this use atom hook here, like this, and let's save it here. And in a similar way, we can again use that thing inside use this useCart hook inside this layout file. So let me simply cut out this use atom value from this layout component, and let me go to my useCart thing here and let me do it like this. And here I need to import a couple of things, that is use atom value from Jotai and use cart items quantity atom, like this. And we can return this cart items quantity as well from here. So let's save it and let's go to a product card here. And here what I can do, I can remove this stuff from here, and I should have an error here, that is add product to cart does not exist. So what we can do, we can import use this hook that we just created, that is use cart. And here we have a function here, that is const something equal to use cart, and here we have add product to cart, and we have passed this function here like this. So if we save this, nothing should change. And in the same way, inside the layout.js file, what I can do, I can again do const something equal to use cart, like this. And here we have the cart items quantity. So we have this thing here like this, and we can clean up the code. And in the same way, we have this thing here, and if we go back, we should have everything working here. So we see that cart atom is not defined inside the use cart hook, and that may be true, and because we need to also import the cart atom. So let's save it, and now everything seems to be fine. So if we go here, we see that we are able to add products to bag, and if we go here, we see that we are able to see everything in the way which we were. So now let's create a function here to delete a product from the cart inside our use cart hook. So we have this add product to cart. So here we can define a function to delete product from cart. And again, this takes in a product here, product, a product ID, whatever you want to handle this thing, it depends on you, but I'm simply passing in the product for simplicity. So we can say const filtered items equal to cart items dot, because we already have access to cart items inside this use cart here. So cart items dot filter, and here we have the cart item, individual cart item, and we need to filter with the product ID. So cart item dot product dot ID should not be equal to product dot ID. That's all what we need to do. And finally, we can simply say set cart items to be filtered cart items, filtered items. So let's save this and let's return this function in this use cart hook, that is delete product from cart. And if we go to the cart item.js file, we must be having a cross button here, that is the X mark to delete the item. So that is this button here. So here what I can do, I can have an on click event listener. So on click, we can simply pass in an arrow function here, that is delete product from cart. So we can get in that thing from use cart. So use cart hook, and that would be delete product from cart, and delete product from cart, delete product from cart, and we can use that here. So where it was, yep, so delete product from cart, and here we can pass in the product itself that is destructured from this cart item, that is this item here. So let's save this, and this should be working by now. So if I remove this product, we see that we have the updated cart here. So before we continue, I just wanted to handle the 0 thing here, because like it is annoying me. That is, if there are no items present inside the cart, I do not want to show this notification. So let me do that very quickly inside the layout.js file. So we want to simply show this as span value if it is not 0. So we can simply use this thing here, that is display this span only if there is, if the cart items quantity is not 0, and this should not be equal to 0. That is, if this is not equal to 0, then only show this span here. So if I save this and if I go back, we see that we do not have a notification icon here or the number of items, but as soon as we add 1, 2, we have this thing here. But if we delete all the items from the cart, we see that this is gone. So now let's see that how do we update the total number of quantity, or update the quantity of items inside the cart. That is, if we select this drop down, we want to change the quantity to be 4. So that's pretty simple to do. So if we go back and if we have a look at the cart item itself, we have the select drop down here. But before doing so anything inside this, we need to create the function inside the useCart hook. So let me minimize this. So let me create a function. So that is update cart item quantity, like this, and here we have the individual product and we have the quantity itself. So what we can do here, we can say const updated cart items equal to cart items dot map. We have the individual cart item, and here finally what we can do, we can check if cart item dot product dot id equal to product dot id, that is passed here inside this update cart item function. So if that is true, what we can do, we can simply return dot cart item comma quantity would be this quantity, and here we can do simply parse int quantity, like this. Otherwise we can simply return this cart item. And finally what we need to do, set cart items to be this updated cart items. And now we can pass this function inside our hook or from our hook, that is update cart item quantity. So let me copy this and let's go back to this cart item thing here. And here we have this useCart hook already present. So we can simply use this function here, that is update cart item quantity. So now here inside the select, what we can do, instead of providing the default value, we can say value would be equal to quantity, like this, and on change would be equal to, we have the event here, and then we can simply call that function, that is update cart item quantity, and here we can pass in the product, and then we can parse int, that is parse int, because everything is a string here, so we need to parse it to integer. So we can simply say e.target.value, simply like this. So if we save this thing working here, so let me try to change the quantity to be 2. We see that we have this total quantity updated here, and let's change it to 8. We have this thing updated here. So now everything seems to be working here. Now let's have a look that how do we calculate this order summary here. So let's go back to our application and let's go to our atom.js file. So here I just want to mention you one thing, that you can already create the total value of the items using this useCart hook itself, but I just simply wanted to focus on Jotai. So what we can do, we can create one more atom here, that is export, and this would be again a derived atom. So export order summary atom, so order summary atom, and export const order summary atom would be equal to an atom, and here again we have a get function, and finally we want to return the state here, that is the initial state. So let it be something like this, like an empty array. So here we can get in the cart items would be equal to get cart item, and then what we can do, we can calculate the subtotal. So const subtotal total would be equal to cart items dot, again we need to use the reduce method. So cart item, and here it should be total comma cart item, and then we can simply return in the total plus cart item dot product dot price times quantity. So cart item dot quantity, so it should be something like this, cart item dot quantity, like this. And we need to pass in the initial state, that, or the initial starting point, that is 0 here, like this. This would give us a subtotal, and we also need to calculate the tax and shipping. So we can simply say tax would be equal to subtotal times 0.18. Let's say that we are handling 18% tax, and in the same way we can simply calculate in the shipping would be equal to subtotal times like 5% shipping, so it should be 0.5, and we have the total value here. So const total, that is total final value, would be equal to subtotal plus tax plus shipping, and finally we can return all the things from here. That would be subtotal, total, tax and shipping, like this. So we have like this derived state from this cart atom, and we can use this order summary atom inside our useCart hook. And let me copy this piece of code from here, and let me go to the useCart hook here. And here again what we can do, we can simply say const something equal to use atom value, and here we are going to use in the order summary atom, and we have these values here, and in the same way we can return all these values as well here, like this, here inside the useCart hook. So let's save this, and let's go to this order summary component here. So here what we can do, we can again use the useCart hook, and here we have the total, we have the subtotal, we have the tax, we have the shipping. So shipping estimate would be this thing here. So let me put in the shipping estimate. So shipping, the tax would be this thing here, that is this thing here. So tax, order total would be this total here, and then we have the subtotal, that is at the very top, so we can put in the subtotal here, like this. So if we save this and if we go back, we see that everything is 000 here. If we go back and if we add in a couple of products here, we can see that we have these values here. But what we want to do, we see that we have this like some JavaScript doing its magic here. So what we can do, we can use in a formatter that is baked inside JavaScript to format all these prices. So we can go back, and inside this lib, what we can do, we can create in a new file called format to currency. So .js, and here what we can do, we can export in a function here. So export const format to currency. So format to currency would be equal to value, that is the inputted value, and then we can simply define the formatter. So formatter would be equal to new international dot number format, and here we can pass in the localization. In my case it would be EN/US, and then we can provide in the style would be currency, and the currency would be USD. So USD, simply like this. And finally we can return in that string. So return formatter dot format, and here we can pass in the value here. So let's save this, and let's copy this function, that is format to currency, and we can use it here inside this, everything inside this thing here. And what we can do, we can simply call it format to currency, and we can pass in the subtotal here. So if we save this, we see that we have this thing in dollars. So either you can use it in line here, or otherwise what you can do, if you do not want to do any calculations with this total, subtotal, tax and shipping anywhere else inside your application, so what you can do, you can simply go to your cart atom, that is this atoms here, and instead of returning subtotal like this, you can simply do format to currency, and you can pass in subtotal. And in the same way for the total, you can simply say format to currency, and you can pass in the total. The tax would be format to currency, you can pass in your tax, and the shipping would be format to currency, and you can pass in the shipping here. So let's save this, and we do not need to do this format to currency anymore here inside our component. The subtotal would be only subtotal, and we see that we should be having a working thing here. So we see that everything is like formatted correctly here for the numbers here. So now the last bit remains, that once we click on this checkout button here, the cart should be an empty thing here. That is, the cart should be emptied, because currently if I check out, we see that there are still items present inside the cart. So that is pretty simple to do. So let's go back to the application, and inside the useCart hook, what I can do, I can create one more function, that is function clear cart. Typically you should not be clearing your cart like this, but only for demonstration I am just showing it to you, because typically you should be passing all the current items inside the cart to your payment gateway like Stripe or something like that, and then you can manage this state depending on whether the user is paid or like he has cancelled the request to pay. But for now, let me simply say set cart items to be an empty array, simply like this, and let me simply call this clear cart, or pass this clear cart as a function. So let me use clear cart, and let's go to the order summary, and we have this clear cart function here. And once we click on this button, that is on this button checkout, what I need to do, I need to like clear out the cart first. So what I can do, I can use the use router hook from next. So import use router from next router, and here I can simply create in a function called checkout. So function checkout like this, and here we can call in this function, that is clear cart, and finally we can simply say const router equal to use router like this, and we can simply say router dot push, and here we can simply say thank you, that is the page which we want to go to, like this. And on this button click, currently we have a link here, so let me comment out this link, and we can have an on click event listener here. So on click would be, let's say checkout, simply like this. So let's save this. If we go back, if we check out, we see that we have this thing here, that is thank you for your order. So guys, that's all about this video. I hope that you have a nice time watching this video, and if you have made it till the end, I would request you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. So thank you, bye bye, tata, take care, and have a good day and have a great day.